My name is Jen Marie, and I am a terrible influence. Hello, cousin. Welcome to my live divination ceremony. My name is Jen Marie, and I am a terrible influence. I think that it's important to remind you all of that every once in a while. It seems that I've been getting a lot of new followers on the big red play button account. And I have almost 500,000 followers across my other social media accounts. And we decided to kind of make our way into, again, the big red play button. And we got some statistics, guys, that's a little bit, found out that of the 1.17K followers on the big red play button, 70% of y'all identify as male between the ages of 21 and 35, I think it is. There are not very many men that are attracted to the work that I do. And I know it's not just because of what my mama blessed me with. I see you now, and I give you my word that this is a safe place for you to ask questions. And if you are wanting an even more, if you are needing more positive containment so that you can actually explore your giftings and path as a neurodivergent magical practitioner, you are welcome in my circle. And you are welcome in the app space that we created to support you. And again, it is very uncommon for those who identify as male to engage with witches born of shadow. So there. Hi. I thought it was important to mention that and to actually call you in specifically. Okay. And I see you, Ingolf. I see you, one of the rare males that do this work. I'm actually really, really excited for you. I have seen your coming for the last 6 months and have been talking and trying to work out how do we better support, I'm picking my words carefully, those who were raised male in the big cappy pappy. Because what I have found is most of you really need the support of other men. And so, I see you. You know what it's going to take is a group of you to just go through foundations together. That's what it's going to take. And that's something that happy to set up. But foundations is the most challenging program that we have at the Resource Center, and it is required for initiation into any of the covens that I serve because of the work that it does. And we have had, in the 5 years we've been doing this, less than 5 men make it through foundations. And I truly believe that it's because y'all you need support, but there's got to be an initial group that gets through. There has to be the ones that are brave enough to do the scariest work of your life. So, yeah. Yeah. It's a whole thing. So, we've been talking about you. We're preparing for you, and we see you struggling in the way that you are. You don't have to be alone. You just have to change everything you know about life, which is a huge thing. Anyway, hi, cousins. All right, now we are going to do a divination ceremony. It's a collective divination ceremony. And the way that I do this, I will be centering you, repairing your relationship with your intuition. So the way that this is done is going to be a little different than what you're accustomed to due to the nature of my work. All right. You don't need to have a relationship with tarot cards or have explored divination in order to participate in this ceremony. You can just be a lurker and watch if that's what you've got. Okay. Your part, you can get as deep into this as you want. And there are so many witches in my coven that are in the comments that are happy to answer your questions or direct you to where you can have access to additional resources, because there are so many free and public resources to support you, especially this year. Oh my Lord. We were just talking about the fact that most of the time we don't engage with men unless they uh, have been in addiction recovery specifically, because they tend to. Uh, that's usually what it takes to kind of like rattle them out of their worldview in a way and get them to start doing this, like, some internal work. And a lot of the work that we do at the resource center is would feel and sound very familiar to you, right? This is the devil upright. Okay. I could go on a rant about all of that. Addiction, because the communities that I serve are neurodivergent, the addiction rate is so high because most of us have coping mechanisms that create a buffer for our sensory experiences. Our minds work 50% more at rest than what is considered typical. And most of the time, we're trying to like slow it down because we weren't taught how to actually engage with our systems. So addiction is huge. It's so big. It's something that is a very common conversation and support in the underground communities that the Unbound serve. So it's this whole thing. So anyway, so we had that whole conversation of, man, there's certainly some boxes to check on who would anyway. And then this card comes up. So let's talk about the devil, right? When I see the devil come up, what I see is the trappings of the big cappy pappy. I can't say the words because of the whole like me, but you were taught that in order to live a happy life, it has to look like this. Get good grades, go to college, get married, get a house, have children. Like that's the path, right? And anything, and you were taught that stuff makes you feel better. Like that's a sign of success to have a lot of things. This card calls you to look at that, right? It's insidious, the materialism and excess that we are subjected to, that we have to take a look at. Well, why am I buying this? Uh, why? What need am I trying to meet with this thing outside of me? Like, what's going on here? Why do I believe that? Right? So, asking those sorts of questions, looking at your relationship with stuff, stuff. The more stuff you have, the more you are responsible for. And that makes it to where it further entraps you in a system that you have to, like, work and have a job and make money in order to you're trapped in that hamster wheel. The more stuff you are responsible for. You see? But that's not something that is talked about because you were indoctrinated, you were conditioned to be a consumer. That's what you do, right? The thing to look forward to is the next release of whatever thing you're supposed to want. It's expected of you, right? So, and perfect timing right before the solar eclipse. Eclipse season is opening, the Lunar New Year, uh, to take the time today and look at your relationship with being a consumer specifically. That's very highlighted. How much of a consumer are you? And we're not creating these exercises for you to guilt and shame yourself. We are creating these exercises so that you actually look at your life, right? Actually look at it. It's not bad or good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It just is this way. So what do you want to do about it? Okay. This indoctrination, these are neural pathways that have been created. Your brain is so flexible and so stretchy. You just have to relay some new neural pathways, but that takes identifying what's going on, right? So look at your relationship with consuming. How often do you purchase things that aren't a required for you to live? One way that helped me look at this relationship with stuff is restricting myself to only using one bowl, one cup, one set of silverware. That is it. I only use those. And what ended up happening, that one choice impacted my whole life so, so much. 10/10 recommend. In fact, all of the retreats and immersion events that we do through the resource center, we have everyone bring their own plates, their own mess kit, and actually practice this all through the weekend. It's mind-boggling how much of what our relationship is with disposable things. And, like, if you have 6 plates, I noticed that if I have 6 plates or access to 6 cups, I'm gonna use all of them in a day. And then I have a whole bunch of dishes to do, right? Which is overwhelming, and then it gets into, like, becomes a doom pile that I just don't wanna touch, right? And so by only having one, it made it to where I would take care of that. That set became precious to me. It was like, I would wash it every time. It would be a part of my whole thing. It changed everything. So I would recommend doing a practice, some kind of practice like that, to really bring your awareness to consuming. And little bit of context, I live on an 80-acre homestead in rural New England. Before that, I lived in a 27-foot RV at the base of a mountain in Oregon, and before that, I lived in Alaska. It's a lifestyle. Not saying I'm perfect, nobody's perfect. Perfection isn't the goal, it's alignment. But your relationship with consuming, okay? Now we got to look at what we're in resistance to or in denial of that's influencing our ability to actually engage with this. What is in shadow? The Seven of Wands reversed. Okay. Like I was mentioning before, for many of us, many witches, it is having the support of other people that understand your lived experience, right? For what we were talking about before, most men need other men. They need the support of other men in order to make these big, pivotal life changes, worldview shifts, kinds of stuff. And this feels almost like a recognition of how much it has taken for you to just get to where you are. You have had to break away from what you have considered a support network in many ways, right? Your closest experience of a support network, and done the thing that is one of the most difficult things for men to do, is to break away from the pack, I guess, and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. And this is like an acknowledgement that what you did is very difficult. It's very difficult to do. And yes, you are tired. And this goes with anyone who is finally getting to that point where they're like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something else. That choice, that cycle breaking that happens, and you have to completely start a new life, like on your own in a lot of ways, that is very challenging. The work that you've invested so far isn't for like naught. There is a turning point this year that is going to happen, that you're going to finally be able to actually see why you've worked so hard and what you're working for. It's so close. You just have to do this last little bit. This last bit. Well, it's not a little bit. It's a choice. There is a choice point. But you have to just choose something that you are proud of and hold your ground. What do I see coming? I'm probably going to end up saying this in every life. What I see coming for this year is a massive celebration in the summertime, around the summer solstice. What we will be celebrating is 100% dependent on your willingness to experience discomfort. And the more discomfort you're willing to experience, the more we're going to be celebrating come summertime. I know, it's huge. But the time right now, these choices that you're making, these little nuggets of wisdom that we get, as far as, okay, well, what do I need to look at if I'm supposed to be making this big choice, which I can feel? Like, what's the most important thing to pay attention to? That's what we're asking when we do this divination ceremony. So this is saying that your relationship with being a consumer, your relationship with excess, with materialism, right? Believing that you can just work a little harder, and if you get more money, then all your problems are going to be solved. That kind of like, that's going to fix all your relationship with that is really important to look at today. Today is right for that. And especially when it comes to, it would make you the weird person in the group, right? You're almost afraid to align with what you are in a way that you're proud of with your relationship with material things. You're concerned that you're going to be mocked or rejected, like socially, that your peers are trying to be competitive with you in some way, and you're going to be seen as like inadequate, right? Your fear of being seen as inadequate, your lack of like confidence in like, this is important and I'm going to do this, is what's keeping you from being able to really engage with it clearly. Does that make sense? Okay. Ta-da! There we go. I will see you again on Friday. Friday, okay, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. If you're wanting to like engage more and you're wanting to like get to know all of the other witches in our international community of neurodivergent witches, come into the app space that we created at community.brightanddark.org. The thing about this space, though, is that you have to advocate for your practice. You have to speak up. There's not going to be people coming down, knocking on your door asking if you're coming to the next meeting, right? You have to initiate. You have to actually speak up in order to get out of this community. And you have to go into this space knowing that it is not set up and doesn't function like any other community or group you've been involved in, because Unbound Witches are facilitating this group, meaning it's non-hierarchical. And so, all right, witches, we'll see you later. If you can't be good at it.